I'm Sarah. I'm an alcoholic. I first met April, I guess it's been like 6 years ago now. I came in and I had nothing and nobody, and she used to pick me up and take me to meetings and haul me down to Santa Maria, which we still do that. And if you are new and you're afraid to ask people for rides, do it. And if you have a car, give them. Because some of the best people and the best friends in my life, I made those friendships to and from meetings. So it's super important. But April she's an amazing woman. She's a great example of what this program looks like. She walks in her truth and the solution and in her faith on a daily basis. She gives freely what has been given to her. I've always really looked up to her and admired her, and you can just see it's from the inside out, and I just can't say enough good things about her. And she's real. She will tell you if she is pissed. And then she will tell you how she's leaning on God to get through that. I love people like that. The problem and the solution live in us all, but how are we going to stay in the solution? And that's the example she gives. So here is April to tell her story.
Yeah, that was really nice. She's good. Man, I am super duper honored to see so many of my good friends here today. I really, it means a lot. Some of y'all traveled from really far, and I'm super happy to see you guys. I don't know if I'm doing this right. It seems like really good. Okay, I'm nervous. So I've told my story before. Yeah, I'm April, alcoholic, by the way. I've told my story before, but, it's different at your home group. I mean, it's different. Y'all know me, like you know me, right? So you guys have seen the good and the bad and the ugly. And a lot of y'all have walked me through it. Held my hand when things weren't going right. And, I could count on you guys. So I just pray right now that God lets me speak for him and be a vessel of his love and light tonight. And that he uses me. And I want less of me and more of him to come out of my mouth. Okay? So, I like Emmett Fox. He's a good teacher. And he said something here that I really liked. And it says, the story of my life is really the story of my relationship between myself and God. And so that is what the story I'm going to talk about with you guys today. Because the essence of this disease I have is a spiritual malady. It's a spiritual sickness that I had from way back in the day. It started deep down inside of me when I was a little girl. So, I grew up in West Virginia. I was born and raised in West Virginia, little coal miner's daughter. And, we grew up we were poor, but I didn't know it because, I had 22 cousins. And we're all running around barefoot and hanging out of trees and down at the creek catching tadpoles. And, we didn't come home till we heard the big bell ringing on the back of the porch. And that was the way I lived when I was a kid. So I didn't really notice that we, ate green beans 4 nights a week because my great aunt grew them in her garden. Or, I didn't notice that we were different. And then, one year I was at my dad's visiting because my parents were divorced. So my mom called and said, we're going to move to Oklahoma. So I left my dad's house and flew to Oklahoma, and I got there and it was just me and my mom in this tiny little apartment. And there was no cousins. There was no friends. A lot of roaches. A lot of sleeping on a mattress. And, the stark reality of this change that my mom did hit me in a real way. That fear crept in at a young age. So I'm like 10, and we're living in Oklahoma, and here starts the symptoms of this spiritual malady I had. Here starts that disease. And I remember the first part of that fear started when my mom came one night and said, "This is the last can of food. And I don't know when we're going to get food again, but we're going to share this last can." And that was it. And that refrigerator was empty, and those cabinets were empty. And I don't remember seeing my mom for a couple days after that, because she was always, at church or on a date or somewhere. I couldn't ever figure out really where she was, but I was home alone a lot, and I had no food a lot. And so I think those kind of things started cranking up that fear wheel within me at a young age. Like, I remember not eating for a while, and then all the kids at lunch would throw all their lunch food away, and I would tell the teacher I had to go to the bathroom, and I would go get food out of the trash can, because I couldn't figure out how else to eat. I couldn't figure out how else to get food, and that self-reliance started. That thing where I got to do it for myself because nobody else will. I can't count on anybody to feed me. I can't count on anybody else to take care of me. So who's going to do it for me but me? And then that thing where my mom was never around. So then I can't count on anybody to take care of me or wash my clothes or take me if I fall down or fix something if it's broken. So I got to figure it all out on myself. And it started really young like that, where I was just winding up to try to figure out how to do things all by myself. And then my mom started doing some different kind of odd things. Like, she wrote the 10 Commandments on a poster like this size and put it in the hallway. And by each commandment, it would have like a red number like that. And that was how many swats I'd get if I broke one of those commandments. And she was looking for it, right? She was looking to see what I did to mess up, because she was angry and lonely and mad just like me. And she wanted somebody to let it out on. So, kind of no food, getting beat a lot. Started running away. I ran away the first time when I was like 11. Maybe something like that. But even then God was protecting me, but I didn't know it. But I really didn't like that version of God that my mom was dishing out. So that was the first kind of thing where I was like, I don't want him. I don't like him. All that kind of version of God looked like was punishment to me. Right? There was no loving God. There was no God showing up when I was crying, lonely at night, or afraid, sitting in the living room because I didn't want to walk down that apartment hallway because I was afraid there was people in those doors. They had little doors where they'd have the water heater and things like that. And so there was no God showing up. And when he did, he was just beating me, So I'm thinking like that's the way it is. And I start thinking, I got to figure out ways to get stuff. Because I want stuff, right? I want shoes that don't have holes in them. I want, like, some clothes that don't look raggedy. I used to have this black pair of shoes that I really liked them a lot, but they had holes in them. So I'd take them off and I would color my feet black where the holes were so it would look like I had shoes on. And so I started shoplifting, right? Because, that thing where you want some gratification, you want something for yourself, you want something to make you feel better, that temporary fix. Well, that temporary fix for me looked like earrings. So I would just shoplift the heck out of earrings, and I would have them all up and down. I'd hung them on my walls just to look just so. And that was really awesome. And then I got caught. And that was the first. I was like 12 years old in front of this judge, and he made me go stay in this juvie prison jail thing. And I don't really remember a whole lot about it, but I remember being in that jail cell thinking, this really sucks. I'm going to quit shoplifting. I'm never doing that again. And I got out of there and I flew to my dad's. And guess what I did at my dad's? You know, it was like consequences really didn't mean anything to me. That was the beginning of it. I was just like, you know what? I don't care. Beat me, starve me, put me in jail. I don't care because I'm going to get mine. I got to figure out a way to make me feel better about myself. I got to figure out a way to make me feel better about me. And so therein lied some symptoms of this disease we call alcoholism. I remember that was the start. That self-will run riot. That thing where it's all about me. I got to get mine. Got to look out for number one. You know, I was doing that at a young age. So I'm going back and forth between Oklahoma and Ohio where my dad is. And then my dad moved to Texas. And I remember my mom got married to this guy and moved us out into the country somewhere. And then she was kind of always getting engaged and getting married, so it didn't leave a lot of time for me. And like something happened and they were getting a divorce, so she shipped me off to my dad's. You know, and they were shipping me back and forth, and one of them was always tired of me, and the other one was always sick of me, and neither one of them really wanted me, but they didn't know what to do with me. And that rejection thing kind of dug its teeth into me. That thing that made me feel like nobody wanted me. Like nobody wanted me. And of course, you know, who would? Who would want a girl like me? You know. And it made me feel really alone. And really afraid. And I was unlovable. And I believed that no one could love me. And that God didn't either. Because I wasn't good enough. And that started the I'm not good enough for anyone's love thing in my head. That I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. And that not skinny enough thing dug in pretty tight on me too. Caused a really bad eating disorder. I was already used to not eating, so what's the big deal, right? You know, I'll just do the not eating thing. And so I'm doing that thing going back and forth. My mom sent me to my dad's and they didn't want me. My stepmom was around, my dad wasn't. When he showed up during the week, he was drunk, and on the weekends he was hungover, and he didn't have time for me. He didn't really I don't know. It was like he's just an alcoholic. I can't understand why he was acting like that. But he was one of us, right? He was doing the same thing. He's living in the same world, just full of fear and trying to get by just like we were. His dad was the same way. And his dad's dad was the same way. I really believe that this disease is a kind of a generational thing. That it could filter through our families and train wreck them. I tell my girls, even I have 2 beautiful daughters, and I tell them just don't even try. Then you'll never have to worry about if you're an alcoholic or not. Don't even try it. And they're 19 and 15, and neither one of them have ever picked up a drink, a cigarette, or a boy. Amen.
That ain't gonna happen.
Woo. So, yeah, they're awesome. So, I'm in Texas. I start the runaway thing, right? I start running. Take off 3-4 days, come back because they dragged me back. Sneak out every night. You know, I really wasn't drinking heavy yet. I was just trying to figure out other ways. I was kind of grabbing at different things. A lot of drugs. A lot of, I don't know how many times you could like trip on acid and not be crazy. But I was pushing the limit, y'all. I was pushing the limit. And so one night I snuck out and I talked this boy into letting me drive his car. And I hit one of those cement dividers head on in the middle of the freeway. I didn't realize it when I hit it that it was on like one of those big freeway overpasses. So the car's teetering on this concrete divider. My teeth are on the floor of the car. And I climb over and I get my teeth, roots and all, and I shove them in my pocket and I get out of that car. And God sends this little hippie guy in a Volkswagen to pick me up. There was a miracle right there. He's king, y'all. He's the king, the Lord. He's the king. So he shows up in a big way and helps me because that car should have been like over. I should have been done. I should have been dead. But he had something planned for me. Maybe it was to be here tonight and talk to you guys. I don't know. You know? I don't know where he's going with it, but he's going. And, you know, so they take me in, they shove all these teeth back up in my head and strap me down with a big metal mouth, and like my face is busted up, cracked up, black eyes, broken nose. And my dad's pissed, wrecked some random car, and that boy definitely wasn't going out with me again. He was like, that relationship was over. And so at that point, I'm like, well, I think I've done enough damage here. So my mom was like, she ain't coming here. My dad's like, well, I'm done with her. So they put me in some loony bin. They're like, that's a good place for her because she's obviously crazy, right? That's the problem. She's just crazy. So they locked me up in this place, and it was entertainment at its finest. You know, just a bunch of bratty teenage kids that we weren't getting our way, and we wanted to do whatever we wanted whenever we felt like it. And they put us in there, and I don't know. I can't remember how long I was in there. But when I left, I wasn't the same. I had nightmares about going off of giant, hills and flying through the air in a car. Lots of nightmares about that wreck. A lot. Man. And it was hard, guys. It wasn't right. I wasn't right in the head. And I was really bad then. Then I had to find something to shut this down. I had to find something that would make me stop thinking about that stuff over and over and over. Something that would make it so that when I looked it up in my busted up face and all that wire stuff that they stuck in my mouth, which that stuff was there for like a year. And I think I was about 15. I needed something. And so I stole a bunch of alcohol out of my dad's liquor cabinet and packed it in my suitcase when they shipped me back to West Virginia where my mom was. And, that stuff worked out for me pretty good. And I started my little career, right? My little drinking career started. And it wasn't just drinking. It was everything and anything. I would do any drugs, any drinking, anything you put on a table that would make me change the way I felt, I would do it. And I didn't care if I got arrested. I didn't care if I got put in another treatment place. I didn't care if I wrecked another car, which I did. I was drinking. I got a new boyfriend, and he liked to drink like I did. That was cool. That was really cool. And so I got his car, and my cousin and I flipped it and slid it on its hood all the way down downtown Fairmont, West Virginia. And they arrested both of us this time. And I was still a minor, but I'd already started a criminal record. I mean, I'm already a criminal, y'all. And I'm like 16. And So here we are in front of the judge again, and the judge is going, you know what? You're cooked, April. You're going to jail for a year. You're going to go to this juvenile detention place for a year. And by the grace of God, I don't know what my mom said to that judge, but they ended up sending me to one of those kind of teen challenge places out in the country instead. And that was a miracle. I mean, it was a miracle I was even alive up till then, really, for the stuff that we were doing and the people we were running with. And I got past that part, and I went to that place, and I got sober, and I'm like, this is it. I'm going to do this deal. And I got out of there, and I went to 2 AA meetings, and I saw God, Inc., I'm out. And I was out. I was like, there is no way. I got a better way to stay sober. It's called Give Me a Boyfriend. It's called the boyfriend plan. And give me 3 jobs and a boyfriend, and I won't have any time to drink. You know? And then I got like promoted in one of these jobs, and I became the head bartender. And, then you know what happens next. I stayed sober enough to graduate from high school. I'm the head bartender, and things are cranking back up again in April's world. And here I go. I'm the manager of this bar. Then they make me like the head honcho. The owner doesn't even show up anymore. I've got all these hood rats hanging out with me up there. That's my little posse. We're carrying guns. We're doing other things. Criminal activities galore. And I'm running this big show, and I think I'm something, right? In the meantime, I'm drinking from noon until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning every day. And my uncle came and said, April, you better leave town. And he's like, they're coming for you. They're going to bust you in that whole bar, and you're going to go to prison. And he was, because he played cards with the police officers, and he's like, you got to leave town, like, tonight. So I called my dad, and guess where I'm coming back to Texas, Dad. It's your lucky day. Yeah, guess what? Your sweet daughter's coming back home. And he's going, oh, hell. I know what she brings. She brings a world of trouble, right? And I just grabbed as much stuff as I could, and I threw it all in my car. And by the time I made it to Texas, that bar had been raided, tons of people arrested, and there God is again. There he's showing up again, but I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see the miracles he's doing in my life because I'm too busy thinking about me. And there's another symptom of that disease again showing up. Too busy thinking about me, right? So there I am in Texas, and I think everything is going good, and life's just grand, and I'm going to college, Lone Star College, and I'm passing classes, right? It's like, how is that working? I'm like a biology major, and I'm passing all these big biology classes, but then I got to move out of my dad's house. So I'm bartending at Red Lobster, never stopped drinking, and here comes this guy, keeps coming in there, and I know he likes me. And I know he likes me, and I'm like, there's my ticket out of my dad's house. He drinks like I drink. He's got a lot of other stuff that I like to do. He likes to party like I like to party. Ching, 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 win, win, win. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about who he was or what he did or what his lifestyle was like or his temperament or, what are you into? Do you have hobbies? Blah, blah, blah. My hobby's drinking. What's yours? Okay, perfect. Match made in heaven, right? And, so that was kind of like the first big relationship I had, and that insanity hit. I didn't think it was much before, but when I got into a live-in relationship with 2 alcoholics that drank constantly, that was some crazy stuff. And I remember thinking, you know what? I don't think this relationship's going this good. I don't, we sure do fight a lot. Maybe we need to go to some counseling. And that counselor said, well, maybe y'all need to quit drinking. And we're like, nah, that's not it. I don't like that counselor, do you? Nah, we're not going back there. And so, we're still just fighting like cats and dogs. And then we start throwing stuff at each other. And then we start hitting each other. And then the police start coming. And the police start coming. And the police start coming. And then I remember one night I tried to shoot him. And then one night I stabbed him in the chest 3 times with a butcher knife. And the police were coming. There they are. They're chasing me again, right, girl? I was just like, what the hell? I look back on that and I'm like, I can't even believe I'm that person. I can't even believe I'm a girl that can do that. But when you put drugs and alcohol in me, I'm that girl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm that girl. And so I think it was like when I finally left and the police escorted me out of there, they said, well, that's good. We've already been out here 13 times. We're tired of coming out here. And that's the kind of relationships I had. And I left there and I just I already had my backup plan. I called the next guy and I said, oh, guess what? I'm single. It's your lucky day. Let's have some true love alcoholism together. So this time I'm thinking, man, I think I got a problem with drinking. Same kind of low down, same kind of situation, same kind of fighting. Everything was the same. It was just a different guy, but it was the exact same thing. So I'm thinking maybe I should go to treatment again. But I kept having seizures. And so they threw me out. And then I found another place. And I kept having seizures. So they threw me out. They don't want that mess on their hands, And so after I left that place, I went back with that guy, and he had a bottle of vodka and a bag of something else there waiting for me. And I was like, let's go. Because I can't quit. Can't quit. There was no way. So I was running out of money. I was running out of wherewithal. I couldn't hold a job. And it got to the point where all I had was a truck. And I knew this guy from this nursery that I was going to. His name was Rigo. And I knew that he had the hots for me. I was like, I know where I'm going next. Because I always like to pick the ones that they like me more. So I could go in and act like a fool and do whatever I want. And they're not going to say anything, right? Because they like me so much. They're just honored to have me in their presence. And that's the way I think. Rigo didn't know what he was getting into. Yeah, he thought I just drank a little bit. So he moved me in, and he's going, holy shit. This girl gets up in the middle of the night and drinks. Because I can only make it. At that point, I could only make it 3 hours without drinking. Before I'd start shaking out of my skin. And I'd get up in the middle of the night and look in all those little cracks and crevices, trying to just get enough. If I could just find enough. And he's getting tore up by it because he's never seen anything like that before. Just the insanity. I mean, I wasn't even right in the head, y'all. I don't even know if I could carry on a conversation with him. So I go to treatment again. And I leave again. And I go to West Virginia. But he flies here and there to come and visit with me. Because I think that he still wants to be together with me. Right? And then, we're having conjugational visits, if you know what I mean. And I turn up pregnant. And I'm at my mom's, and I'm like, holy cow. I'm here pregnant. What am I going to do? Well, thank God I was sober, right? Because I'm thinking, holy cow, I get to have a baby this time. It's just not, you don't get too much like having a baby when you're drunk all the time. Your body's not accepting that. And so I'm 5 or 6 months pregnant. and about 9 or 10 months sober. And they said, I want you to look at this picture of your baby. There's something wrong with her legs. And I'm like, what do you mean? There's something wrong with her legs? And they said, there's something wrong with her legs. Her one leg's not bending at all. It's just straight the whole time. And they said, you should probably go ahead and have an abortion. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. There was something inside of me that said no. And see, at that time, I was sober and I didn't know how. I think it was just because I was hiding out at my mom's house. I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't doing anything in the program. But then I ended up pregnant, and I was like, I could stay sober for a baby. I'll hang in there just one more day, one more week, one more month. And I had Mary Martha early, and she's about like that big when I had her. Little teeny weeny thing, the light of my life. And, she had a lot of stuff going on with her. So the leg that wasn't bending, she had really bad hip dysplasia. Her hip was out of the socket. So when she's 2 months pregnant, they do a surgery on her to put her hip back in the socket. They didn't tell me what it consisted of, right? So I'm in the hospital room waiting for her to bring back my baby. And they got back and she's got a body cast on from here all the way down to her ankles. And she's crying. And they said, we did the best we could. We don't really know if she's going to walk. And we did her hearing test and she's deaf. And I remember that doctor telling me that, and they handed her to me, and they left, and I'm in that room all by myself. And I had no idea what to do, y'all. I had no idea what to do. But I thought maybe there was a chance that God would hear me, or would at least help her. If he didn't want to help me, maybe he would just help her. Especially, with all the stuff I did, I didn't think he would want to help me. And I asked God to please show me what to do, because I didn't know what to do. And all I could hear from him is he said, she's going to walk and talk. He said, she'll walk and talk. And so they gave me this little girl, and I was trying to be the best mom I could be, and I held on to that hope that I heard the voice of God in that hospital room. Oh, gosh. So I heard God speaking to me for the first time. I heard him. He talked to me. Little old me. The one that was full of chaos and problems. The one that despised herself, and I really thought I despised him too. And he heard me. He helped her, y'all. When she was about 3.5 years old, she had already had 6 surgeries on her legs and her fingers and stomach. And I held fast and true that God was going to do what he said he was going to do. And I stood by faith. I stood by faith, and I believed by faith that he would come through. And at 3.5 years old, she started walking. And about 2 months later, she started talking. He is who he says he is, y'all. 100%. That girl is something. She's something. She's about this tall. And she walks and talks, and she's a sassy little thing, and she's so sweet. So sweet. And, 4 years later, he blessed me with another daughter. In the meantime, I'm staying sober. I'm not going to meetings. I think I just stayed sober by hiding in my house. And I was going to constant doctor's appointments and therapy with Mary. And I think that's how that was working. And then my husband and I decided that we needed to start a business because we couldn't make enough money for the second child. That was the struggle. And, you know, I could do life hiding out in my house, but I can't do life in the real world. I didn't have any tools. So now I'm in the real world, right? I got to work. I got to get out there and talk to people. I got to socialize. And I was a saleswoman for the company. And all I wanted to do was crawl under a rock most days and hide. And I didn't know how to manage all that. And so that was about 10 years ago. I went back out. But I went back out smoking, and I started taking pills for my shoulder. And I started taking more pills. But I'm not drinking. See, this is what that insanity tells me. I'm taking pills, but I'm not drinking. I'm going to like 3 and 4 different doctors to get pills, but I'm not drinking. I'm smoking everything I can get my hands on, but I'm not drinking. I'm doing so many pills and so many other drugs that I have to drink a whole bottle of NyQuil at night to go to sleep. But I'm not drinking, right? So that's what the disease was telling me. That's what it's telling me. And it's so crafty and so slick. You know, I was even doing all that stuff and going to church. And I don't know what happened. One day I was in church and I was in the bathroom at church. And I was like, man, I got to get out of here. They're going to find out what I really am. And I quit going there. And I started isolating. And I started hanging out in my bathroom, partying down in my bathroom. I had a little TV put in up there so I could just go in there and lock the door at night and do my deal. That's what I did. That's what my relapses look like. Like just stuff that doesn't even make sense. But I didn't have time to be a mom. All I could do was work and hide out in my bathroom. I remember Marina would slide notes under the bathroom door. It said, "Mommy, will you play Barbies with me?" And I would say, "I'll be out in a little bit." Because I still had to party some more before I could play Barbies. You know? It was stuff like that. And I started feeling the insanity of that stuff coming on hard. I overdosed. And then I overdosed again. I had a stroke. And then my dad asked me to come over one day. And I pulled in the driveway, and it was all my brothers. And Rigo and my dad and everybody was there, and they brought an interventionist there. And I mean a real one, like the A&E special. And they were doing the deal. And I'm going, holy cow, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They know what I'm doing, right? But come on, y'all. I weighed 25 pounds less than I do now. Everybody knew what I was doing, right? Everybody knew. I thought I was slick, you know. And so they're doing this thing, and I'm sitting there listening to them. And I took a deep breath, and I was like, finally. I was like, finally, because I was dying. And I knew I was dying, for real. And I wanted to die. But I didn't want to leave my kids. I didn't want to leave my kids because I love them. So, you know, they packed me up and they sent me to this place in Dallas. And I pull up at that place and I ask God, I'm like, just please help me. And when I walked in the door, it was about 8.5 years ago, He took the desire to ever drink and do drugs away. Like, right then. Like, I have never, ever felt that desire again. Jesus is king, you guys. Amen. He's the king of my life. And there's something in that. There's something in that hope that happens and I could be free. Like, free, for real. I didn't know it was going to be that hard. I didn't know it, like coming down all that off of all that stuff, taking like 15 hydrocodones a day. I didn't know how hardcore that was going to be. That was hardcore. That lasted about a year. Like, you know, trying to get my mind straight and still a little bit fuzzy and I don't know what. So I come in here as soon as I get out. I think it was like 2 days after I got out of that place, I showed up here. And, you know, I didn't know anybody, but that guy back there in the corner, Dusty and Steve, were standing up front doing their greeter thing. If you guys know them, they do their greeter thing. And they saved my life, y'all. I would have never came back if it wasn't for them. So it's a big deal to stand out there and greet people, guys. It's a big deal. Any of you guys that are new, you know I come and get you. I don't let you slide in off the radar. I'm going to come in and get you and hold your hand and love you because I don't want anybody to walk out that door and not come back because they don't know anybody or they're scared. Because, you know, all that rejection and that I'm not good enough and I'm not smart enough and that selfish and self-centeredness and all that fear didn't go away just because I quit putting drugs in my body. It didn't go away just because I quit drinking. And it was on full throttle when I pulled up in here. And I didn't know what to do with all that stuff. I had no idea. So I just kept coming to meetings because I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kept showing up. Hanging out with Steve back there, hanging out with Dusty, hanging out with Aaron. I'm just keeps coming, you know. And I was afraid to ask anybody for help. I was in here a whole year before I would even share. Believe it or not, you guys know I love to share. Got all of my theologies and everything going. And I wouldn't even talk. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And yeah, I was doing kind of my same routine. Gotta, you know, kind of like fool around with the boys. Gotta kind of like shop some. Get about $40,000 worth of debt my first year sober. Just shopping. Because y'all know I'm a landscaper and I need lots of stiletto heels. And I need lots of Michael Kors bags. And I need all this stuff, right? So I just keep shopping. And I'm trying to do all this stuff so that I can feel better about me. But it's the same old thing. Same old thing. Just without numbing out on top of it. You know, and then I finally, like, had a moment. Another moment with God. I'm coming here. I'm not doing step work. I'm not in any part of the program. I'm just showing up. And I go home one day. I'm about at a year or so sober. And I throw myself on my bed. And I ask God to take my life. I didn't want to kill myself because I believed I would go to hell. So I asked God to take my life for me because I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take being sober. And I didn't want to go do drugs again. And I didn't know what to do. I was just freaked out and I was over. And then there he is again. And he told me, April, if you don't want your life, give it to me. And there he was again. And that was the first moment of surrender, y'all. That was the first moment in my life that I actually felt like I wanted to surrender something to him. That I trusted him. I just trusted him enough to carry me through. Just a little bit that day. And the days start adding up. And the surrender starts becoming more and more. And then I met my sweet little Patsy, Bill's wife. And man, she's the coolest sponsor ever. Like, y'all don't understand. She did step work with me, real gentle like, real sweet like. You know, when I had to go make amends with my mom, she went with me. You know, she held my hand through all of it. She showed me what service work looked like. You know, because I kept saying, well, nobody's coming in here for me to sponsor. She said, you need to sponsor. No, well, there's no one here. She's like, do what Bill and Bob did. Go get some people. Go to the treatment places. Go to the hospitals. Go. You know, and so I started going to Santa Maria with Sarah and I. And, you know, looking for the girls. Love the unlovable. Help for the helpless. And hope for the hopeless. And be a vessel of God's love and light. Right? And so that's where it's at, y'all. I could take everything out of here that I want, and I could take and take and take. But if I don't open up the valve and let some of it out, I can't get anything new in. You know, it's like God pours into me and gives me what I need, and I've got to pour it straight out just to keep it flowing, like a river of living water, right? Just keep it flowing, keep it going, because the love of God will fill me up every day. I don't have to just kind of float on some old stuff. He'll give me something new every morning. And this program, they tell me I've got to give it away to keep it. That's the truth. That is the truth. So, like Patsy, she'd take me to the prisons. We'd go up there and do stuff there. Sarah and I still go to Santa Maria. That's awesome. Do you know, like, I go to those kind of places and those women respect me and they like me and they're happy to see me? I mean, me, the girl running around getting her teeth knocked out, the one hating herself, the one that felt rejected and unloved. I don't have to look to them to love me and accept me anymore, my parents. I'm accepted by God. I'm loved by Him. That matters the most to me today, you guys. Like when I came here and I'm fiddling around with my little notes and trying to get everything just in order so I could say something really profound and you guys would know what a great AA lady I am and all that. And I was like, man, the biggest message I want to convey to you guys is how God is true and faithful to what He says. Like all this stuff in these steps, that part where I had an spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, that is a real thing. Like I became alive inside where I was dead. I was spiritually dead inside. And something came alive in me. Like the way I think, the way I talk, the way I walk, the way I look. I mean, everything changed. Like, I look different than I did when I first came in here. I mean, Botox probably helped a little, but, you know, but I do. I look different. I talk different. I walk different. You know, and I know that I'm a child of the Lord. And, yeah, if I can do it, you can too. So, thank y'all.
Thank you.